All right, you guys. So today I'm going to show you guys my second book about the cemeteries in Puerto Rico. And the cover on this book is from a headstone in Juana Diaz. And don't mind the super cool dog in the background. I'm dog sitting right now, and that's the only reason why I have the opportunity to show you guys this book right now, because I have the space. So let's get into it and start looking at it. Just like my first one, this is a 10 by 10 hardcover, and it's a really big book. And the first cemetery we're going to check out is Cementerio Civil de Ponce in Ponce, Puerto Rico. And this was a huge cemetery, and I took a lot of pictures. Probably half the book is just this cemetery alone, you guys. And I was thinking about Ponce even during my first trip to Puerto Rico. Now, my first trip to Puerto Rico, I walked from San Juan to Aguada, and then I walked from Aguada to Guyana. And I was getting low on funds, and I was coming to the conclusion that there's so much going on in Ponce that if I kept going through Ponce, I just wouldn't be able to sleep outside and function long enough to do what I needed to do. So I actually turned around at Guyana and went back to Aguada and then walked back to San Juan. So my second trip, what I made sure to do was I got a cheap apartment for a month in Ponce, so I could film and photograph all the cemeteries in the city, because there was just so much to do here. And this civil cemetery was so huge. It's probably my favorite cemetery of all time. I got a lot of good pictures of it. And I don't know, just this cemetery alone, I probably spent a week here walking around all day through the bushes. Some of the bushes were really high. I had to do a lot of crawling and stuff sometimes, as you can see, but it was worth it to me. I spent a lot of time at this cemetery. A lot of people are buried here, and there's a lot of history. So, and in my third book, I'll be showing you guys a couple more cemeteries from Ponce, but this is the only cemetery in Ponce that I have in this book here today. Nice, beautiful pictures. I love the cemeteries in Puerto Rico. And like I said before, the camera just doesn't do this book justice. If you were actually holding this book and looking at it, you would probably be as amazed as I am. I made sure to try to get a lot of full pictures in this book too, because during the first book, when I was looking through it, when I finally got it in the mail, I discovered I really like the full page pictures. You know, the rest are still pretty cool and all, but there's definitely something special about the full page, you know? When I spent a month in Ponce, it was a pretty cool experience. There's a lot of stray dogs that walk around in the cemetery here, and a lot of stray dogs in general in the city. And there was one neighborhood in particular, I can't remember the name of it, but I think it got pretty wrecked during the last phase of earthquakes that Ponce had to go through. And most of the houses in the neighborhood are abandoned, and they've kind of been taken over by stray dogs. And when I was in Ponce, I made it a point to walk up and down every neighborhood that I possibly could. I probably walked through, I don't know, 95% of the city of Ponce, and I happened to stumble upon that neighborhood that was abandoned and full of stray dogs. And they bull rushed me and started barking at me, but luckily they didn't attack me or nothing. But like I said, it was pretty wild. It was like, I don't know if you guys have heard of Cat Island or whatever in Japan, and it kind of felt similar to that, but with dogs instead. And I ran into dogs a couple times in this cemetery too. They just barked at me. They were pretty harmless for the most part, though. I might even have a couple photos of dogs in this book too, now that I think about it. And if you notice that the pictures look a little bit more clearer in this book too, it's because after I made my first Puerto Rico cemetery book and my first abandoned farmhouse book, which I'll be showing you guys at a later time, I figured out how to digitally remaster my photos on my phone. So the photos in this book were digitally remastered before I turned them into the book. So it just made everything look a little bit better and a little bit clearer, in my opinion. The picture quality in the Puerto Rico Cemeteries book 2 is definitely better than the picture quality in the Puerto Rico Cemeteries book 1. Like I said, I just have so many pictures of this cemetery. I probably have 10 hours of film saved on my hard drives from this cemetery alone. I spent a lot of time here, and during my first trip, when I wanted to walk the whole coastline of the island and photograph all these cemeteries, once I saw just the sheer size of this cemetery on Google Maps, I knew there was no way that this was going to be one of those cemeteries that I just walk through one day. I head into Ponce and film and photograph this cemetery and then just leave for the next town. No way. I knew that it would take days and days to film this cemetery like I wanted to. And then not only that, but there's a pretty big Catholic cemetery across the street from this cemetery, and then there's a cemetery by the ocean on the southern part of Ponce, and then there was a little historical cemetery in the middle of town. So I knew I had to come here for a month if I was gonna accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. The cemetery is definitely a little overgrown, as you can see, but one of my subscribers on my YouTube channel put a comment on one of my Ponce cemetery videos, and he said it's looking a lot better now since it did a couple years ago. But this is a hard cemetery to maintain and upkeep. Definitely if you fall behind, just because of the sheer size. It's built on a hill, and I mean, we're in Puerto Rico. Things grow so fast. You clear this out, and by the time you get finished, the place that you started is overgrown again. So it's constant. It takes constant work, maintenance, upkeep, and money to maintain a cemetery like this. And we're talking about money that the city of Ponce might not necessarily have. And you know, there's other important things that the municipal has to deal with, you know, infrastructure problems, um, you know, retirement payouts, the same stuff that every city has to worry about. And sometimes the cemeteries have to take the hit for financial struggles, you know. But in spite of the fact that the cemetery was pretty overgrown, I really enjoyed my time here. And like I said, and I've probably already said in this video, that this is my favorite cemetery of all time. And you see this picture here, I'm at the very top of the hill and you could see the city in the background. That's how like high up this cemetery goes and how like far stretching it is. And this is a good picture too, just to give you a little, you know, clarity as to the sheer size of the place. Just a lot going on here. Ranger finally got bored with my commentary and decided to leave the living room. Yeah, the Ponce Civil Cemetery is definitely a special cemetery. Ponce has been on my mind for a long time, so I had a lot of nostalgia even when I first made it there. And I took advantage of having the opportunity and the privilege of being able to stay in Ponce for a month and just explore and see the city and feel the vibes. And I love that picture. I definitely do not regret spending a month in Ponce, and I'm glad I was able to film and photograph all these cemeteries because I got every cemetery in Ponce while I was there. All of my weekdays were dedicated to the cemeteries. On the weekends when the cemeteries were closed, that's when I would just go on intentional walks around the city just to explore and get to know the place a little bit better. Because when I come to Puerto Rico and go to these places, I like to stay for a while and really feel the vibes of the place. I feel bad for these people that come to Puerto Rico for like 5, 6, 7 days or something like that. And it's like, if I only got to spend 5 days in Puerto Rico, I would honestly know nothing about Puerto Rico. And I'll see a post where it's like, I'm going to be in Puerto Rico for 7 days. What should I do? What should I experience? And I'm just always like, yeah, you're not going to experience much, in my opinion. When I'm traveling to places like this, I think I like to go somewhere for 90 to 100 days just so I can become, you know, fully acclimated to the culture and the place and the climate. And but I understand too that not everybody has those options. You know, the best that a lot of people could do is 5, 6, or 7 days. When I first started putting this book together, I had so many photographs and so many hours of film from this cemetery. I thought it might just be a whole book dedicated to this cemetery. You can see a dog right there standing on the tomb. It's pretty cool. And there's another picture of the dog. And then there's a dog right there too, but you guys probably can't see it. I'm sorry about the quality of this presentation. I just don't really know how to do it better, to be honest with you guys. And I've been wanting to show you guys these books for a long time because they're very special and important to me. Another picture with some dogs in it. Yeah, sometimes the stray dogs would just follow me around the cemetery, and they were pretty much my only company because, like I said, and I've said it many other times, not many people come visit these cemeteries anymore. So it's usually a place where I get to just relax and have some time to myself. And the irony is it's crazy everywhere else. Like, walking from the place I stayed all the way across town to get to this cemetery, there were people everywhere, and life was just very vibrant all throughout the city. You're not going to go anywhere without seeing a bunch of people and a bunch of people doing a bunch of things. And, and then once I cross the gates and step into this cemetery, it's just like complete peace and complete silence, especially like in the area that this photograph was taken, because it's so overgrown that, even the people that come visit are usually up towards the front a little bit more, and most of the workers are up towards the front trying to maintain and upkeep the front half, because it's just so vast and so this is a crazy cemetery, you guys. It really is. But there's just something like beautiful about it to me as well. And it definitely deserves all the attention that it gets. This is one of my favorite pictures too. It almost became the cover of this book. It was, in fact, for a moment, but it was the last minute decision to change the cover to what it is now. All right, and now we are finally done with the Cementerio Civil de Ponce, and now we're going to move on to the Cementerio Municipal de Juana Diaz. And Juana Diaz is a mountain town a little bit north of Ponce, and I walked up there one day and ended up meeting the mayor of Juana Diaz, and they gave me permission to film and photograph this cemetery. There were some amazing headstones in the Juana Diaz cemetery too. And when I was walking up to Juana Diaz from Ponce, it was raining, but when I got there and after I got done talking to the mayor, it just so happened to stop raining and the sun started coming out. So I got some pretty unique pictures when I went and visited this place for the day, because yeah, this was another 4 or 5 hour cemetery visit, just because this is a pretty big cemetery too. It definitely wasn't the size of the civil cemetery in Ponce by any stretch, but it was still a pretty good sized cemetery. I got a lot of amazing pictures. And here's my cover photo, but with 2 different color schemes here. As you can see, the right side was just kind of a bold, cold saturation, and the left side is a warm saturation. I try not to fully edit too many photos that I put in this book, just because I want you guys to, I want there to be a little bit more realism in it, but that's not to say that I don't really like the edited photos too. There's definitely something special about them, and a lot of times they end up actually looking better than just the original photos. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I really liked this picture too. It really stood out to me. It wasn't quite cover worthy, but I was definitely thinking about it for a second. This is one of my favorite pages in the book right here. I love both of the photos, and as you can see, I edited the color schemes a little bit too, just to make them jump out on the page a little bit more. Now, Juana Diaz was a pretty nice town. I enjoyed my time there, and these are a couple photos just to show you guys just how vast these cemeteries can be. And you know, if you've watched my YouTube channel, you already know, because I do a lot of walkthroughs and stuff like that, because I really love these cemeteries. And now I got a little bonus for you guys. This is a San Sebastian cemetery that I guess you could say I kind of snuck into. It seems like it's been abandoned for a while, but I was sleeping outside and I was walking. I was doing a walk from Aguada to Mocha to San Sebastian to Lares, and then I was just going to go back to Aguada. And so I was outside all night and pulled an all-nighter when I walked from Mocha to San German. And as the sun was going up and I just left McDonald's and charged my phone and had a cup of coffee, I just wanted to check out the cemetery, and I noticed that there was no lock on the door here, so I kind of just walked in as the sun was coming up and filmed and photographed it real quick. And it was just one of those amazing moments where I got to do a sunrise at a cemetery. which is pretty rare, so I wanted to take advantage of it. And I got the shots, and I was really happy. After I left this cemetery, I was definitely on a high. As you can see, it's pretty much abandoned. Nobody really spends much time here anymore, and it was pretty small too, so I don't have a whole bunch of photographs. I just had a few, but I just figured I might as well add it to the end of this book, since I had so few cemeteries in this book, because the cemeteries I was photographing were just so big. And that's it, you guys. This is book 2. It's got the insignia, No Name Explorations, Puerto Rico Cemeteries, book 2. 10 by 10 hardcover. She sure is a beauty, isn't she? I'm very proud of this book, and I can't wait to show you guys the Puerto Rico Cemetery Books 3. I'm working on it right now as we speak. It is not published yet. And I have 2 abandoned farmhouse books that I've already released, and I will be showing them to you guys in the future. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.